In the few short years it's probably been a decade that I've been paying attention to video game news. But in that decade, I've seen a lot of games that look promising get canceled. And some of those canceled games were like a kick to the nads for me personally. And I make no secret of my love of bounty hunters. Or at least bounty hunters in a Wild West or science fiction setting. The urban setting, not so much, but anyway. So this one that I'm about to talk about had some fanatical appreciation for me, and it sucks ass to a straw that I never got to play it. Or that any of us got to play. Like, we deserve to have this game. We deserve it. And I think Razorfist, I recently found a stream by Razorfist where he played the early demo of the Prey knockoff made by Arcane Studio, who will gladly bend over for Bethesda, but then again, that seems like something they would do. And it is a Prey game in name only. But anyway, he said that it's possible in the future someone from Human Head who made Prey 2, they will likely leak the game online, and we will see how full of shit Bethesda was in this regard. But I will get to how they are full of shit later. And I'll just get into the meat and potatoes. And there's this game called Prey 2, which was a sequel to the original 2006 Prey game, which was being developed by Human Head Studios, whose developers were very passionate and enthusiastic about the project, and was to be published by Bethesda Software. It used id Tech 4, which, as Mad McMuscles put it, Human Head were wizards at implementing. To describe this game, I would have to borrow from Gaming Front. Think Boba Fett meets Blade Runner. And if you've seen any past video of mine, or have spoken to me on social media, or paid attention to at the beginning, you know I love me some bounty hunting. So this one quickly had me turgent from excitement at the prospect of what it and 1313 offered at the time. Then Bethesda went full-blown Bethesda. But before I get into that, I will first be giving you the plot and setting. The plot is this. You were an air marshal named Killian Samuels, or Samuel Killian, I forget how the name was, who was kidnapped from an airplane, which was abducted in mid-flight in the first Prey game. And you actually see this in the first Prey game crash. After this, you, stranded on an alien planet, have made a living as a bounty hunter. And you have no memory of anything before that plane crash. None whatsoever. Or you don't know what happened after the plane crash. You just know you ended up having a particular set of skills that pay the bills. Then one day you cross paths with Tommy, who apparently had crossed paths with you in the past, but your character cannot remember, and the plot would proceed from there. Taking place on an alien world called Exodus, filled with non-human species. When you weren't hunting aliens for clients, you also had a safe house which you could relax in, and it was based on Deckard's apartment in Blade Runner. Weapons and gadgets. For dealing with issues on the ground like a soldier, you have a pistol called Rachel, a heavily modified version of the pistol you left home with, and the only tangible reminder of Earth, as well as a rifle-looking weapon that I believe switched between different functions like assault rifles and shotguns. Think of it as being something akin to the morph gun from Jak and Daxter, or the Jak 2 and 3. In addition to this, you had other weapons as well as gadgets which could have been made available to you. Shoulder-mounted rockets, which would auto-target while you used your firearms. Anti-gravity waves, which could be used to lift enemies in the air. Capture devices, which were energy handcuffs that locked criminals and teleported them to the client. Grenades, gravity, frag, micronovel, that last one I have no idea what that means. Bolas, which had an electric touch to them. Hover boots, homing missiles, deployable shields, wrist gadget equipped with flamethrowers, camouflage, grappling hook, and satellite strike, which might somewhat be overkill with that last one, but still, that sounded badass. And that wasn't all of them, folks. There were supposed to be 20 gadgets with 40 upgrades. Bethesda, the fuck were you thinking? Now we get into the part that really pissed me off, which was the cancellation. Bethesda would cancel the game in 2014. As for the why this brain-dead decision was made, I can only provide claims from both sides, but given Bethesda's recent actions at the time of preparing this, as well as their treatment of Obsidian, let's just say I'm inclined to believe Human Head's side a mite more. What were the claims? Well, members connected to Human Head claimed to an IGN report that Bethesda was so impressed with Prey 2, showing that they were granted a extension of development time from 6 months to a year. And that was when the company started playing hardball with the development studio to buy them, likely seeing them as a useful asset. Like, they wanted them to be another company under their thumb. And I mean Bethesda ZeniMax, not Bethesda the developers. The developers, Bethesda, they are innocent in this. Although their quality standards could use some work, especially when you look at Skyrim and Fallout 4, but that's another story entirely. Human Head responded like Andrew Clavin when he was offered a Hollywood career. They weren't interested. Not wanting to be permanently tied to a publisher, unfortunately, Bethesda, much like that weird guy in the bar who gives you that funny drink, would not accept no for an answer and reportedly began fucking with them. Figuratively, of course. Jason L. Blyer, a writer on the game, stated in a Twitter post on March 31st, 2013, "What happened to Prey 2 from where I sat was political and petty, and potentially legitimate. Human Head had a great game," and I couldn't agree more. Like, when you look at the demo for this game, it blows my... Like, I would bet you money that if that game had been released, it would have been like Skyrim, how we would constantly be getting remasters of it. Bethesda, on the other side of the issue, through their smear merchant and just all-around usual cunt, Pete Hines, claimed that the game did not meet their quality standards, to which I call bullshit. And Bethesda more tone-deaf, and by Bethesda I mean ZeniMax, more tone-deaf than Obama and Jimmy Carter combined. And considering how they blacklisted Kotaku for reporting on the leaked emails, which proved they had given the pre-IP to Arcane and lied about it, doubles their douchebag stain in my eyes and gives me a brief moment where I can actually respect Kotaku, which kind of makes me hate Bethesda ZeniMax even more. You've put me in a position where I have to agree and give kudos to fucking Kotaku. Seriously, ZeniMax, fuck you. But anyway. Kotaku, I will admit to despising you, to consider you to be scumbags of the highest order, but I will say this: the people who broke that news about the leaked emails deserves a degree of respect. And a commendation medal, but that's another story entirely. If anything, this is just another example of how pathetically petty Bethesda is. Why do I say petty? Well, for reporting on this when Kotaku was blacklisted, it meant they would no longer receive interviews or be given early access to games for review. All because they reported on the email leaks. Reported, that was it. This was essentially a precursor to how Neil Cuckman would respond to The Last of Us 2 leaks. This doesn't sound like it warrants calling them petty. How about this? Bethesda has a bit of a history of partaking in actions like that make them like, well, a donkey struggle snuggler. Like someone who grabs a donkey from behind and goes to town on them. Back when New Vegas was being made, Bethesda promised Obsidian a bonus if they reached a certain Metacritic score. Obsidian missed that Metacritic score by one lousy point, so they were denied their bonus. Worst of all, the people who worked on Prey 2 eventually found themselves under Bethesda's financial fucking thumb. Imagine if you were on the Hindenburg and some douchebag shoots an RPG at the blimp you worked on, and you worked your ass on it to keep it flying. Then you survived the fallout only to end up working for said douchebag who shot RPGs at said Hindenburg. You know the rest. Following the IP was worked on by Arcane, who used it to make a hybrid of System Shock and Bioshock. Which, I guess it was okay. I never really was interested in playing it, but it looked decent as well as repetitive. However, as one commentator pointed out about Prey 2 and the Arcane Prey, we have a plethora of survival horror games, but not that many sci-fi bounty hunter ones. Which sucks because every time those of us starve for that type of game, have one within reach, it gets snatched away from us by short-sighted morons and pissheads such as Kathleen Kennedy and the brainlets at ZeniMax Bethesda. So yeah, that's the story of the grand goat fuck known as Prey 2, whose development and the cancellation. If you've ever wondered why I have such an acrimony for Bethesda, that's generally reserved for Disney, why I have such a flagrant hate boner for them, wonder no fucking longer. And this is, of course, assuming you've seen any of my past videos to know what I'm talking about, but anyway. And those who were aware and just thought I was blowing it out of proportion, I hope this at least provides an inkling of where I'm coming from on this. If you want to research this for yourself, I will be posting links to YouTube videos and articles regarding the matter, and I would highly recommend you check them out while you can. I expect Bethesda to at some point pull a Hideo Kojima and have these things purged. Anyway, that's the video on the game, more or less, or what would have been a game had Bethesda had a functioning fucking brain cell upstairs, or ZeniMax would. But yeah, that's the video. God, I want to drink bourbon right now, and I don't even drink alcohol. But anyway, have a nice day, and remember the game was fucking rigged from the start. And fuck Bethesda.